The day I found out my husband had two families, I thought my world had ended, but that, as I would soon discover, was not even close to the worst part. My name is Sarah, and for years I believed I was living a modern-day fairy tale. My home was a beautiful brownstone nestled in the vibrant heart of a bustling city, a place where history met contemporary life. Within its sun-drenched walls, I shared my days with Michael, the man who was, to me, the very definition of a rock, my unwavering anchor in a sometimes chaotic world. We had meticulously constructed our life together, brick by painstaking brick, dream by shared dream. Our mornings were a gentle ritual, beginning with the quiet comfort of coffee brewing and the soft murmur of shared laughter. Our evenings would gracefully unfold, filled with the exchange of stories from our day, culminating in a comfortable, unspoken silence that spoke volumes of our deep connection. He was a successful architect, his vision shaping the city's skyline, while I pursued my passion in marketing, crafting narratives for brands. We were, or so I profoundly believed, the embodiment of a perfect love story. Our apartment was a sanctuary, perpetually bathed in warm, inviting light. Every surface seemed to hold a memory. Photographs capturing our joyous vacations, candid snapshots from boisterous family gatherings, each one a testament to our shared happiness, our smiling faces reflecting a life of contentment. We spoke openly and eagerly about the future, about the joyous chaos of children, about the quiet dignity of growing old together, hand in hand. Every tender touch, every lingering glance felt profoundly real, imbued with an authenticity that resonated deep within my soul. He was attentive, unfailingly kind, always present, always there for me. I had placed my complete and utter trust in him, a trust that formed the very bedrock of my existence, the unshakable foundation upon which my entire world rested. Then, imperceptibly at first, small discordant notes began to creep into the symphony of our lives. A late-night phone call abruptly ended the moment I entered the room, leaving a faint echo of unease. A new conspicuously expensive watch adorning his wrist, one I had never seen before, and certainly not given him. When I inquired, he dismissed it with a casual wave, claiming it was a client gift, a token of appreciation for a particularly lucrative project. And I, without a flicker of doubt, believed him. Why would I not? He was Michael, my Michael, the man who embodied integrity and devotion. One Tuesday, a day that would forever be etched into the fabric of my memory, he committed an uncharacteristic oversight. He left his work phone, an extension of his professional self, lying innocently on the kitchen counter. He never ever did that. A strange, unsettling flutter began in my chest, a premonition I couldn't quite articulate. As if on cue, a text notification illuminated the screen. My eyes, drawn by an invisible force, instinctively read the preview. "Daddy, when are you coming home? Mommy misses you." My breath hitched, caught in my throat, a cold knot forming in my stomach. Daddy? He didn't have children. We didn't have children. Not yet, anyway. My hands, suddenly foreign and clumsy, trembled as I reached for the phone. It was unlocked, a gateway to an unknown reality. My rational mind screamed at me, a frantic, desperate plea to put it down, to walk away, to preserve the fragile illusion of my happiness. But my gut, that quiet, persistent, insistent voice that had always guided me, pushed me forward with an undeniable force. With a growing sense of dread, I opened the messages. A deluge of texts, a relentless stream of communication. They were from a woman named Maria. And then, the images, pictures of a little girl, her smile bright and innocent, a boy, his eyes full of youthful curiosity, birthday parties, vibrant with balloons and laughter, school events, mundane yet deeply personal, family dinners, intimate and warm. My world, the one I had so carefully constructed, began to tilt precariously on its axis. I scrolled, my vision blurring, each image a fresh wound. Dates, addresses, a house not far from ours, yet in a completely different neighborhood, a world away. A life, his life, a life I knew absolutely nothing about. He had a whole other family, a wife, children, my Michael. The man I loved, the man I trusted implicitly, was living a double life. The heir, thick and suffocating, seemed to abandon my lungs. I felt a sudden disorienting chill, quickly followed by a wave of intense heat. A sickening nausea churned in my stomach. My legs gave way, and I sank to the floor, the phone still clutched in my trembling hand, its screen a cruel mirror reflecting my shattered reality. The photographs, vibrant and mocking, stared back at me. Happy faces, his face, smiling, radiating love, the very same smile he'd bestowed upon me, a very same love I had believed was mine, and mine alone. When he finally came home, the key turning in the lock a jarring sound in the sudden silence, I was still on the floor, a crumpled heap of disbelief and despair. The phone lay beside me, its incriminating glow a silent witness. His eyes, usually so warm and expressive, landed on it. His face went utterly blank, a mask of unreadable composure. Then, a fleeting flicker of something I couldn't quite decipher. Something cold and distant, certainly not guilt. "Sarah," he said, his voice devoid of emotion, flat and unfamiliar. I looked up, tears streaming unchecked down my face, blurring his image. "Who are they, Michael?" My voice was a mere whisper, fragile and broken. He sighed, a deep, weary sigh, not a sigh of remorse, but one of profound inconvenience, as if I, in my pain, was the problem. "It's complicated." Complicated? My entire existence, my carefully curated life, was a meticulously constructed lie. My marriage, the sacred bond I cherished, was nothing more than a cruel charade. He confessed, slowly, reluctantly, each word a fresh stab to my heart. Maria, their children. He had met her years ago, he mumbled, before me. Or perhaps after. The timeline, deliberately vague, blurred into an indistinguishable mess. He had meticulously kept them separate. Two distinct lives, two entirely separate families, a master of deception. The betrayal was not merely emotional. It was a physical blow, a crushing weight that settled heavily in my chest, making it ache with an unbearable intensity. My mind raced, frantically trying to reconcile the man I loved, the man I thought I knew, with this stranger, this architect of deceit. The man who had promised me forever had already, it seemed, given it to someone else. The heartbreak was immense, a gaping wound that refused to heal. It felt like a death. The death of my future, the brutal annihilation of my dreams, the complete erosion of my very identity. I genuinely believed that was the worst part. The shattering of my heart into a million irreparable pieces, the profound humiliation that washed over me, a searing shame that burned from within, the agonizing realization that every tender moment we had shared, every loving word he had whispered, had been nothing more than a meticulously crafted lie. But I was wrong, so terribly, devastatingly wrong. As I slowly, painstakingly began the arduous process of picking up the pieces of my shattered life, sifting through the debris of our shared existence, I started with our finances. I needed to understand how he had managed to juggle two lives, two households, two sets of expenses, all while maintaining the illusion of normalcy with me. It was during this grim excavation that I unearthed something else, something far more sinister than a mere double life, a series of highly unusual transactions, large, inexplicable sums of money, moving with alarming frequency, in and out of accounts I had never seen, never recognized. Shell companies, their names obscure and unfamiliar, appeared in the ledgers. Names of individuals I had never heard of, their identities shrouded in mystery. The second family, I slowly realized with a chilling clarity, was not merely a secret. It was a meticulously constructed cover. Maria, the children, their house, their entire existence was all part of a much larger, far darker scheme. Michael was not just a cheating husband, a man guilty of profound emotional betrayal. He was a con artist, a master manipulator. He had been systematically using our shared assets, my hard-earned investments, even my good name, my reputation, to launder money. He was deeply embroiled in something illegal, something dangerous, something that threatened to consume me whole. The second family was a convenient front, a perfectly plausible explanation for his frequent absences, his strange and erratic hours, his insistent need for separate financial accounts. I was not just betrayed, I was unknowingly implicated, an unwitting accomplice in his criminal enterprise. My life, my future, my very freedom, were all suddenly and terrifyingly at risk. This, I understood with a cold, sickening dread, was the true worst part. The horrifying realization that the man I had loved, the man I had given my entire heart to, was not just a liar, but a dangerous criminal. And I, through no fault of my own, was inextricably caught in his tangled, treacherous web. Fear, cold and sharp as a surgeon's scalpel, replaced the raw, aching heartbreak. I was no longer merely grieving a lost love, a shattered dream. I was fighting for my very survival, for my future, for my freedom. I moved out of the brownstone, leaving behind the ghost of a life that never truly existed. I found a lawyer, a good one, a formidable advocate who understood the gravity of my situation. I meticulously gathered every single piece of evidence, every suspicious document, every strange and inexplicable transaction. My hands still shook, but now it was not from despair, but from a fierce, unyielding determination. It was a long, excruciatingly painful process, a journey through a labyrinth of legal complexities and emotional turmoil. But I refused to be a victim, a casualty of his deceit. I worked closely with the authorities, laying bare every ugly truth. The two families, the hidden accounts, the shell companies, the truth, raw and ugly and painful, finally came out, exposed to the harsh light of day. Michael's carefully constructed world, built on a foundation of lies and illicit dealings, crumbled spectacularly. Not just his two families, but his entire criminal enterprise, his meticulously crafted empire of deception, collapsed around him. He faced the full, unyielding consequences of his actions, and I, against all odds, against every expectation, emerged. Bruised, yes, the scars of betrayal etched deep within my soul, but free and stronger, more resilient than I had ever dared to imagine. I rebuilt my life, not brick by brick, but with a new foundation entirely, one built on unwavering truth, on profound self-worth, on an unshakable resilience forged in the fires of adversity. The city still bustled around me, its vibrant energy a constant reminder of life's relentless forward motion. But now I saw it with clearer, more discerning eyes. I learned to trust my gut again, to listen intently to that quiet, insistent voice within me, the one that had tried to warn me all along. If there is one profound lesson I can impart, one truth I have learned through the crucible of my experience, it is this: trust your intuition. If something, anything feels off, if that quiet voice whispers a warning, it probably is. Your worth, your inherent value as a human being, is not and never will be defined by someone else's lies, by their deceit, by their profound moral failings. You are stronger, far stronger, than you think. And when your world shatters, when the very ground beneath your feet gives way, you possess an incredible, innate power to build something even more beautiful, more authentic, more enduring from the scattered pieces. If you've been through something similar, if your reality has been fractured by betrayal, know that you are not alone. Share your story. If and when you are ready, seek help. Reach out for support. There are people who care, who will listen, who will support you through your darkest hours. What would you do if your entire reality, the very fabric of your existence, suddenly shattered before your eyes?